Alright, how's it going everyone? I am the Emerald Raider and I'm joined by...
The Jade Elf.
And where we last left off, we were just coming into camp and being told about the dragon being in our dreams. And we are about to go ahead and first click on these exclamation point people, and then we're going to go ahead and talk to everybody.
You're a hard woman to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader?
I'm Jade. I've never heard of you. Duncan never mentioned you. You know Duncan. Duncan never mentioned you.
Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years.
Oh, I made him
I am
sad.
Carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
What promise did Duncan make to you? How did you know Duncan? I have pressing matters to attend to. Farewell. What promise did he make to you?
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden Commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arlen banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
Oh, wow. What a jerk. Just tell me what I need to know. What happened next? That's a bit drastic, isn't it? What happened next?
Hard to say. After King Arlen died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one, and our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
Just tell me what I need to know. I'm surprised you kept your name. So what favor did you ask of Duncan? I'm surprised you kept your name.
Our family's only crime was guarding the kingdom against the blight. We're not ashamed of that.
What favor did you ask?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honor.
Couldn't you just go there by yourself? I've never even heard of the Soldier's Peak. I've never heard of Soldier's Peak.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arlen's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honor.
What do you need from me? Why didn't Duncan help you? How will reclaiming the peak help the Wardens? I'll have to think about this. Farewell. How will reclaiming the peak help the Wardens?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
Your family's faith will be rewarded. I will help you. Let's go to Soldier's Peak. What do you need from me? When did Duncan help you? If I click the first one, will I be able to ask number 4?
I don't know.
Your family's faith will be rewarded.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
I guess that's why in Cyberpunk they put it in blue, just so you know you're probably going to still be able to ask the yellow one. They should have done this in this one because sometimes you can't go back.
Sophia Dryden.
Sophia Dryden is Ferelden's light and her most brilliant jewel. Nothing on this earth can ever quench her fire. Arlessa Sophia Dryden was the young Arlen's rival for the throne of Ferelden. Dryden was a strong and charismatic leader with much support from the Banorn. When Arlen finally won the crown, Dryden refused to relent. She pushed her claim, was caught, and accused of treason. Her sympathizers continued to support her, however. In order to appease them, Dryden was spared execution and forced to join the Grey Wardens instead. Dryden survived the joining and dazzled the Grey Wardens at Soldier's Peak and her leadership skills and charm. She eventually rose through the ranks to become the Warden commander of Ferelden. Before Commander Dryden, the Grey Wardens were seen as a relic of an older time and an unnecessary drain on on the nobles' coffers. Dryden, though, with her political connections, reinvigorated the wardens and rapidly increased their numbers. In the meantime, King Arlen proved himself a devious king, willing to go to brutal lengths to silence his opponents. Arlen's reign of terror grew worse with each passing year, and some of the bands approached. Commander Dryden, in desperation, begging her to intercede, she agreed, and thus was the rebellion against King Arlen born. Arlen leaned on the rebellion and took steps to end it. He publicly suspended all tithing to the Grey Wardens and declared that they were no longer welcome in Ferelden. Some of the wardens, mindful that they were supposed to remain politically neutral, felt disgraced by Dryden's involvement in Ferelden politics and left their side even as their king's forces lay siege on Soldier's Peak. The siege took months and ended with the death of Sophia Dryden. From personal files of Levi Dryden, merchant.
History of the Drydens. In the years following the siege of Soldier's Peak, all those who carried the Dryden name were hunted by King Arlen's forces. Our noble Dryden name was smeared, and all lands and holdings belonging to the Drydens were seized by the crown. The king feared that the rebellion started by Sophia would be kept alive by her loyal friends and family, and anyone with connections to the Drydens suffered greatly. It is little wonder then that the few remaining Drydens found themselves with no allies and nowhere to turn. Tobin Dryden, Sophia's brother and guardian of her young son, had no choice but to flee Ferelden. Tobin bought passage to Antiva on a merchant ship on a merchant vessel and traveled under the name Derosher. Once in Antiva, Tobin set about building a new, quiet life for himself and his nephew. He started a small business and eventually made a name for himself as a trader. The Doreshore merchant family prospered, and the name Dryden was almost forgotten. However, in 815, Blessed, Sylvie Doreshore uncovered old documents belonging to Tobin and pieced together the family's history. In her pride, and perhaps in her naivete, Sylvie reclaimed the name Dryden and returned to Ferelden. King Arlen lies dead, and the Dryden name lives on. Our family has survived, even thrived since the death of Sophia Dryden. Sophia Dryden. The nobles of Ferelden may still spit on the Dryden name, but the Drydens know that Sophia Dryden was greater than them, almost the queen and a hero to the people of Ferelden. Says you, buddy, you're part of the family. And then quest related.
Blackstone Letter of Conscription. Dear friend, you're receiving this letter because you or someone else placed your name on an article of conscription, thereby pledging your life to the Blackstone Irregulars. With war looming on all fronts and the Irregulars must build their numbers, we are forced to call upon those who have sworn their assistance to make good on those oaths. Say farewell to your friends and family. While you may return to them, you must prepare them for the possibility that this will be your last day together. Your sacrifice is what is appreciated, Torin. This letter is marked with the seal of Blackstone Regulars. Is that the letter that we gave to what's-his-face?
Yeah.
It's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Fedek at your service once again. I saw your camp.
You followed us?
The kind offer that you made the last time we met. And is there anywhere safer for a poor merchant and his son to sleep? I think I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes?
You're free to stay, just mind yourselves. Let me see your wares, Bodon. Have you been following us? What are you selling exactly? You want to see his wares? You don't? You're free to stay, just mind yourselves.
Wonderful. Thank the kind lady, won't you, boy?
Thank you, kind lady.
It won't be a bother to you and your companions, I assure you. If you should need enchantments, simply talk to my boy. Otherwise, come speak with me.
All right. Very cool.
Sandal.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him a... what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
What enchantments does he do? I want some enchanting done. I'd like to see other goods you have. You want to see what enchantments he does?
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
And there you have it.
Aw.
All right. Well, for now, we don't want any of that. but it's nice to talk to you guys. Let's go ahead and give a talk to our companions. We're gonna go ahead and start with Liliana because, oh, by the way, that Grey Warden thing, that's a DLC. We're gonna talk to Liliana and see what she's got to say, and then there's also a Liliana DLC that we can do pretty early in the game.
Well, here I am.
The vision of yours. What was life in the Chantry Cloister? What would someone like you be doing in Lothring's Chantry? Vision of yours.
I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell. And the darkness drew me in.
What then? So it's just a dream? Why say it's a vision? You dreamed of the blight? That doesn't mean anything. What then?
When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rose bush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
That's just wishful thinking, Liliana. And this made you want to help me? Did you hear voices? I don't need your Maker interfering in my life. And this made you want to help me?
In my dream, I fell. Or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything?
The Chantry says the Maker has left us. The blight is the Maker's punishment. Will you defy him? I suppose I couldn't sit by either.
That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop.
She approves.
Yes? Well, here I am.
What was life like in the Chantry Cloister?
Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my Chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Condescending? How so? Yes, they tend to be self-righteous. That's why I'm not particularly fond of them. Condescending? How so?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
I don't really want the Maker looking in on me anyway. What did you say to them? I prefer your ideas to the ideas of the Chantry, but you must earn the Maker's blessing. What did you say to them?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Said I'm done with you.
You have not talked nearly enough.
Well, here I am.
What would someone like you be doing in Lothring's Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
You just don't seem like you belong in the cloister. You know, a beautiful, charming woman like yourself. Sanctimonious, preachy, like all the other Chantry zealots. They don't teach you how to fight in the cloister, do they? You just don't seem to belong in the cloister.
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
What did you do before that? Affirmed. And why were you seeking safe harbor? So your skills were learned before the time in the Chantry? Ooh. I'm stuck between affirmed and why were you seeking safe harbor? And what did you do before that? Crap. What did you do before that?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Wow, she's just really does not want to talk about her past.
But she has not opened up yet. There's more to Liliana than had even been apparent at Lothering. However, she spent much of her life as a bard in Orlais, a minstrel, assassin, and spy employed by nobles of Val Row in their elaborate games of intrigue. That's not what she told us, game.
Right? She didn't tell us about being an assassin
Or a spy.
or a spy.
Alright, well, we'll ask her more about that later on, and we'll do the DLC as soon as she decides to open up to us.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something. I'd like to discuss something personal, or never mind. I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
How did you become a shape changer? Did you grow up in the Kokari wilds? Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry? Is Flemeth really what she seems to be? How'd you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Your mother has been doing this for a long time then? That does sound like something you do, but it's just a legend, right? Your mother has been doing this for a long time then?
Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Can you change into other human forms as well? Can anyone become a shape changer? Do you spend a lot of time as an animal? There have been Dalish keepers who use similar magic. Can anyone become a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will. But the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed.
Can you change into other human forms?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
You spend a lot of time as an animal.
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
And what do other animals think of you when you're changed? There have been Dalish what do other animals think of you as you're changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
There have been Dalish keepers who use similar magic.
Oh? Then I have no doubt your people do much to keep their talents well hidden from humans. I wonder if I was to ask one of your keepers of the origin of their magics, if there would be any relation to what I was taught.
We don't know much about our origins, I'm afraid. I doubt they would be willing to tell you much. That would be intriguing, wouldn't it? We don't know much about our origins.
Ah, this makes sense according to what I know of the elves. Alas. Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
I think your abilities sound quite useful. It does seem a little revolting. That would just make you angry, I think, at the very least. I think your abilities sound quite useful.
A most practical opinion. Far more so than any man I have spoken to. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us. What do you wish of me? If you must.
Oh no, wait. Oh, that was just about the shape changers, huh? Holy crap. Kokari Wilds.
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
You could if you wanted to. I'm curious, what's wrong with that? Fine, I will leave you be. It's my favorite way of annoying you. You could if you wanted to.
Oh, what luck. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time, I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
And you remained unnoticed, but you kept going back to the wilds? I have a hard time picturing that. You remain unnoticed?
For the most part, Flemeth taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
You must have looked like quite the fool, very daring. That sounds like you. I can just imagine. Were you hurt? Were you hurt?
Was I hurt? What manner of simpering weakling do you take me for? Only once was I accused of being
He gets
witched
angry very
wild,
easily.
and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
That was quick thinking. What happened to the poor man? I'm supposed to be surprised you're a good liar. What happened to the poor man?
Who cares? As I recall, he was executed. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
I have no idea. I'm not human. Touching like a handshake? Were you upset by all the bad touching? Touching like a handshake?
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Yet here you are. You can go back if you like. I guess the joke's on you then. Well, I'm glad it worked out this way at least. Yet here you are.
Yes, here I am. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
Ah, we have to bug you 2 more times. She disapproves.
I think it was the whole weakling thing.
Ah.
If you must.
Can you teach others to become shape changers? Have you been hunted by the Chantry? Is Flemeth really what she seems to be? Ask about the Chantry.
My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
Fun? You found it fun? You really had no trouble with them? I feel sorry for the Templars. You really had no trouble with them?
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Flemeth used you as bait? Did you actually kill them all, surely more would have followed. Did you actually kill them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the Wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
Don't you regret hurting any of those men at all? What exactly is an apostate? Do you still think that was fun? They got what they deserved. What exactly is an apostate?
You do not know? The Zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates, and apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true, still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
Meaning what? We'll fight you to the end? Have you no responsibility to those around you? If I were a mage, I might think the same. I agree completely if you say so. We'll fight you to the end.
I will note that we only ever defended ourselves, but if they wish to come for us, certainly. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
Alright, we still gotta bug you. -3.
What do you wish of me?
She really doesn't like us.
If you must.
That I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
And a woman, powerful Maleficar, a nutty old bat. Demon? What's a Maleficar again?
Blood magic demon possessed.
A powerful Maleficar.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the Chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I didn't even know there was such a thing. I've heard a little of it. I'm more interested in the truth. Spare me the bedtime stories. I'm more interested in the truth.
I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting. All right, but make it quick, and the point would be no thanks. That sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful. A fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Just how long ago was this? Yes, I've heard this part. Not true then. I've heard this part.
The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
He sold his wife to another man? Flemeth must have been angry. Seems like a fair deal. Flemeth must have been angry.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. It was Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
She spoke to spirits or demons, but wasn't she now married to a wealthier man? So she truly loved Osen then. She spoke to spirits or demons?
Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Of course, Flemeth would say that. Which she never invaded, or he never defeated her. Even my people have heard of Cormac. Which she never invaded, or he never defeated her.
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Do you believe her version? How is it that Flemeth has survived for so long? The legend tells Flemeth having many daughters. Aren't abominations usually insane horrors? An interesting story, thank you. That all sounds like hogwash. How is it that Flemeth has survived so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
Legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them? Do you believe her version? Aren't abominations usually insane horrors? Interesting story. Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Wow. Do you believe her version?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
Aren't abominations usually insane horrors?
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things...
We're getting more disapproval from her again.
...next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
Interesting story.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died a long time ago. There is nothing really to say about her. I love her. What else do you want to know? Keep your curiosity to yourself. Do we know if our mothers died?
She did.
My mother died a long time ago.
Oh, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Indeed we shall, Morrigan.
Oh, +5 approves. That was all?
So in total we only lost 3 approval.
Not bad.
Why are we stopping?
Oh, God. Never mind. Let's keep moving. I think we should talk for a moment. We're working together. I think I should get to know you. Let's just get a few things straight. I think we should talk for a moment.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
Oh my God. Never mind. I need to know if I can trust you at my back. Are you alright? You were in that cage for weeks. What's your hurry? I need to know if I can trust you.
I am Kunari. I have given my word to aid you. We are not people of idle promises.
I've never seen a Kunari before. Tell me about your people. You said you were in the army. I've never seen a Kunar before.
No.
Okay. No, why not? Please, I wasn't expecting that. No, why not?
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty.
What did you just say?
Wow. A little. Oh, you said you were in the army. Let's give him one more chance before I blow up on him. Have you ever fought in a war? What made you decide to become a soldier? Why would the Kunari send soldiers here? Why would the Kunari send soldiers here?
The Antam are the eyes, hands, and mouth of the Kunari. We are how my people know the world.
We should get moving. Doesn't that make your view of things a little skewed? You didn't really answer my questions. Have you ever fought in the war? Does that make your view skewed?
Compared to what?
This guy's so straightforward.
You only learn about people in your conquer?
What does anyone truly know of the world? The world changes. We change. The Antam observe what we can, just as you do. There is no point to this. We are keeping the Darkspawn waiting.
Dude, it's nighttime. We're sleeping. It's pissing me off. What's your hurry?
What a strange language you speak. You say hurry, where I would say duty.
It's not your duty to handle this blight, though. Never mind. Let's keep moving. I'm done talking to you.
Oh, no approval change at all.
What do you need?
You want to talk about Duncan? I'd like to ask you something. Never mind. Do you want to talk about Duncan?
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did.
I just thought you might need to talk. That doesn't mean I don't mourn his loss. He was like a father to you, I understand. Good, I don't want you falling apart again. He was like a father to you, I understand.
I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost him, not with so much as riding on us, not with the blight and everything. I'm sorry.
No harm done, Alistair. There's no need to apologize. Yes, well, let's forget about it. Just don't let it happen again. No need to apologize.
I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of.
What about the other Grey Wardens? He had you. That's an excellent idea. I doubt you'll get the chance. That's an excellent idea.
I think he came from High Ever, or so he said. Maybe I'll go up there sometime. See about putting up something in his honor. I don't know. The Dalish don't practice cremation, do they? How do your people honor your dead?
We bury them and plant a tree over their remains. Our ways are not your ways, nor Duncan's. I'd rather not discuss it. We bury them and plant a tree.
That sounds quite beautiful. Life springing from death. Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little.
Anytime. Maybe I'll go to High over with you when you go. He was a friend of mine too. Let's get going. Maybe I'll go to High over with you.
I'd like that. So would he, I think. What do you need? Ask away.
What can a Templar do exactly? Tell me about the Grey Warden. So how did you become a Grey Warden? So you said this Arl Eamon raised you. What can a Templar do exactly?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So couldn't others learn these talents? So Templars use magic themselves? Have you hunted many mages? Seems like Templars could run the Chantry. So others couldn't learn these talents?
Perhaps. but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together.
So you were addicted to this lyrium. That's horrible. I can't believe they would do that. Sounds like an excellent method of control. So you were addicted to this lyrium?
Thankfully, no. You only start receiving lyrium once you've taken your vows. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templar's talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me. What do you need? Ask away.
Yeah. Grey Wardens.
Such as they are.
Where the nearest Grey Wardens from here?
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands.
Is there a headquarters somewhere? So happens now, if there's just 2 of us, well, we need to start rebuilding that order. What would happen if we just left? I have no more questions. What happens now that there's just 2 of us?
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Logain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us.
Well, we need to start rebuilding the order?
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere.
Is there a headquarters somewhere?
Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Logain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfelds, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go.
What would happen if we just left?
Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
I mean before that. Haha, very funny. If you don't want to answer, then say no. I mean before that.
Let's see. I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
You don't seem the religious sort, so you mentioned before. What skills might those be? What skills might those be?
Well, it wasn't an easy life, you know. I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but I'm not exactly the Chantry type. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
You think Duncan took pity on you? You think this is better than being a Templar? Why did the Grand Cleric want to keep you? Why did the Grand Cleric want to keep you?
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
I shouldn't have brought him up. I'm sorry. Don't start crying again, please. He was a good man. He was a good man.
He was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure.
No chillas, cabrón.
Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Are you though?
What do you need?
Gonna get all this out the way so we don't have to do this in the future. At least not for a while.
Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
Liar. That's not what I remember you telling Flemeth. That would explain the smell. I thought you were raised by the Chantry. Really, that must have been tough for them. That's not what I remember you telling Flemeth.
Well, if you're going to go and pay attention to the facts, then fine. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Arl Eamon wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
Why did he send you off to the Chantry? He wasn't your father, so you know who is? But you blamed him then, I take it. Why did he send you to the Chantry?
Arl Eamon eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, the new Arlessa resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10.
Aww.
Just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
What a bitch.
You were probably luckier than most orphans. Wasn't it inappropriate for the Arl to raise an orphan? What an awful thing to do to a child. That sounds like a bunch of whining. What an awful thing to do to a child.
Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence, I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered.
Dude.
Stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
And you think the Arl will help us? Are you sure he isn't your father? You were young. Are you sure he isn't your father?
Yes, I'm quite sure. At any rate, I don't look anything like him. You'll see for yourself. Not that it stopped the rumors any. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
That was it.
Interesting.
Thank God.
Well, not to end on a sad note with him and his kid issues. Let's go ahead and pet the ghost.
Oh, why you little...
What? Did you just jump at the height of your own shadow again? Are you harassing my dog? What?
Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
Why are you getting near his food? There's hardly any blood drawn. Still, he wouldn't have. It was just a warning. He could have taken your hand off. Good boy. Teach that silly Alistair a lesson. Bad dog. That's not very nice. Well, he is a war dog. There's hardly any blood, but she still shouldn't have. Oh!
Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
I took Alistair's side and he got sad.
Oh.
Poor
Anyway,
baby.
I guess we are ending on a sad note. You just harassed our dog. When we come back, we'll go ahead and move forward with the story. If you guys did enjoy, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We will catch you on the next one.